All right, we're here. We're here coming at you live with another episode. This is going to be very interesting, especially considering the fact that somebody just came back from traveling. So he may or may not be in complete and total disarray. Uh, n- Two guesses as to who that may be.
So I'm Demetrius,
And I'm Demetrius,
and Meet presents.
the Blurred City podcast.
All right, so we said last week that we were going to do our Alien versus Predator deconstruction, reconstruction. In fact, we are doing Alien versus Predator Requiem, a movie we think is far superiorly worse than the original movie. So we went into the lab, we discussed it. So we're going to do a deconstruction, reconstruction of AVP Requiem. We're going to get into the rules of it. We're going to explain the segment. First, we're definitely going to need a strong legal steagle.
Purpose of this podcast is to explore digital and print media. All sources we reference are owned by their respective companies, and our thoughts and opinions are strictly our own and reflect no biases or corporate agendas. Your discretion is advised.
All right, so quick housekeeping. We're still in the month of October. So last week we did our Cabin in the Woods movie review, a movie that we really loved. Absolutely funny, so you can check that episode out. Then next week, as of this podcast, you're going to hear our Venom, The Last Dance movie review, a movie that we are praying that is good after the Joker debacle. So with that, we're going to get into our AVP Requiem, Deconstruction, Reconstruction. So with this segment, this type of podcast, it's easy to just say something is terrible. People should lose their jobs because of it. It should never exist, but it's much harder to build it up. So with that, we kind of go in depth on a movie, a TV show, a comic book, or just any other kind of game, or just something in that space. We work together, we take it apart, save the good parts, kind of reboot it, take out the bad parts, and then ultimately build something up together. So with that, the rules of this are each person gets 3 vetoes. So you'll hear this sound when you have a veto. That cancels an idea or proposal from an other host. Each person also gets 3 lock-ins, which you'll hear this sound. That supersedes a veto. Again, the goal of this segment is to work together. So to avoid pettiness, we try to avoid saying if you veto this, I'm just going to lock it in. Or if you veto X, then I'm just going to veto Y. So with this, we're broken into 3 sections. We have the case study with the highlights. We get into the deconstruction, and then ultimately we got the reconstruction. Then finally, just a summary to recap everything. Meech, any thoughts before we jump into this?
Well, unlike a certain movie, this one's gonna oh boy, this is gonna be an interesting episode because I have a feeling we're both gonna say one specific change.
Oh, absolutely.
And it's going to be hilarious as to which one of us is going to say it first.
See, I don't know. We'll get to it, whether to put it in the deconstruction or the reconstruction part. All right, so with that, we get into the case study. Aliens versus Predator, Requiem, 2007 film. So the highlights, this was 20th Century Studios, used to be Fox, currently owned by Disney. So the recent movies that have come out, Prey, Alien Romulus, those are Disney joints that came out. But again, that studio was originally Fox when Requiem came. I see you have thoughts already.
Well, seeing as how technically this is now a Disney film, does that make the Alien Queen Disney princess?
Oh, stop. I'm continue. Stop. Jeez, diabolical. So with that, we get the directors, Greg and Colin Strauss. The box office numbers, it made $130 million worldwide versus a $40 million budget. So that's about 3 times it made back on the budget. This is where it gets critical. So the audience and critic reaction, IMDb gave this a 4.6. It only gets worse from there. Rotten Tomatoes gave it a 12%. Letterboxd gave it a 1.6 out of 5. So that says a lot about how people felt about this film going in out of it. So, Nietzsche, any interesting backstory surrounding this film?
Well, firstly, we also got to talk about the fact that it was nominated for Biggest Disappointment of the Year, and it also got nominated for a Golden Raspberry Award for Worst Sequel and Worst Excuse for a Horror Movie.
So, any other interesting backstory?
Oh, yeah. So, pretty much a big big whole thing about it is that, again, this is a sequel to the Alien versus Predator movie. The whole reasoning why Alien and Predator crossovered in the first place is because people realized at 20th Century Fox, like, oh yeah, we technically have the licensing for both Alien and Predator. And then Predator 2 happened where it's like, oh yeah, let's just put a xenomorph skull right inside the Predator ship. And then that got people going crazy. Dark Horse decided to go ahead and pull that trigger and write the Alien versus Predator comics. The first one is absolutely amazing. And then that eventually sped off, and now we got the Alien versus Predator that we know today. So that franchise in of itself.
Okay, so with that, personal feelings leaving the theaters. So for this movie, I didn't watch it in theaters. I watched it on a road trip, when I was much younger, back of those TVs that sit on the back of the car seats and stuff like that. So my thoughts. Dang, this movie is really hard to see. My direct thoughts watching this movie.
Oh man. And then for me, like you, I didn't watch it in theaters. Instead, I actually just watched it on TV. It was just running one day. I think it was on the Sci-Fi Channel. Probably was the Sci-Fi Channel, if we're being perfectly honest. But yeah, like you, it was just at first I was like, is my TV going out?
Yes.
Is it? Do we have to replace the lamp? Because we had to change it out before, so we were thinking. So I was thinking oh man, we gotta do this to the TV now. Only to realize it was the movie itself, and we just changed the channel to check, and then it's oh, let me turn it back real quick. Oh, pitch of darkness. I don't know what's happening here.
So something that I thought was cool, we can get to more in depth a bit later, just with my thoughts watching it. But I read that it was actually pretty controversial, was the Alien. I thought within the context of the movie, it was cool, just a combination of the two, and what they had to go up against, just personal feelings after it was done. But other than that, I mean, I think they just ended up blowing up the town, and that was the end of the movie. So it didn't really leave me with much of a good feeling. And then just for listeners, we're probably going to be potential spoilers in every Predator Alien movie. It's all up in the table as we get into this discussion. So any other thoughts you had about this, just personal feelings?
Why were there too many humans in this movie? If I was looking at it, I'm supposed to be watching an Alien versus Predator movie, not a human featuring Alien versus Predator.
That's something I definitely have want to talk about in the Reconstruction. I remember we had a discussion about this when we did our Prey movie review, which is on our Patreon, and we kind of ranked the different Predator and Alien movies all together, mostly the Predator ones, and we had AVP as the bottom one. So definitely this is a movie that did not leave a good impression on a lot of people. But what was good about this movie? That's what we also include in the highlight.
When there was fighting and you could tell what was going on, it was good. Also, for me, at least I dug the Predalien design. Just seeing the kind of the merger of the two species. And then, yeah, literally, that's about it for me.
That's about it. All right, so the last question we asked, which most of the stuff we actually talk about, it does pretty... How did this one age?
Good and well, it aged terribly. Actually, no, let me scratch that. How can it age when you can't even see it?
Yes. Because for a few of the things we watched, it was okay in the moment, and then it aged poorly. This one, I was just it was never good to start.
I can't even see nothing. How am I supposed to detail that, man?
All right. So, actually, something I did see with an interesting backstory is that Predalien, originally in the script, the Predalien was supposed to die early, and then the xenomorphs were going to escape and overrun the Earth. That was the original plot. And it was
man.
And it was just going to be from the aspect of the mostly the Predators. So,
And why didn't we get that movie?
I don't know. I think this is something that I want to talk about in the Reconstruction, but we can get to that. So with that, we're going to move forward to the Deconstruction part. So here we point out obvious flaws, marketing, poor character casting decisions, studio, creative, visual limitations, bad story beats, and then the timing of the movie. So with that, Mish, I think the one thing we need to take out is this awful lighting, and we need to lock that in.
Lock it in, be done. This was the one thing I was like, yeah, I know like there's going to be one that we both going to have in terms of what needs to change. Yeah, lighting, absolutely god awful. That needs to change. But for me, what also needs to change, right, is the editing. The editing in and of itself, because it's bad enough that you can't see what's going on. But when you can see what's going on, you don't know what's happening. And I think that's like an issue with just the editing overall. Like when they are fighting, you're just like, what am I watching here?
Like a blur.
Yeah, too much is happening. Too much is, we can't see nothing. Nah. The editing needs to be changed.
I remember something that you told me when we were talking about this once was that you didn't like the setting of it because with how aliens are, essentially how the movie ended is like what would happen, where it's like they're so unstoppable and they spread so quickly that they would overrun the Earth. And the fact that all those movies are essentially set on spaceships. I know the first Alien versus Predator was like Antarctica, right? Like it was so
it was like
out there.
Yeah. Out in the fringes of society. So
yeah.
But yeah, it's like this one, yeah, like just to reiterate what I mentioned earlier, right? It's just the idea that like, hey, a good alien story should never take place on Earth. Reason being is because of the fact that like, yeah, the xenomorphs, like once they get started, and if they get started on Earth, if it's in a highly densely populated area, just go ahead, wrap it up. Just wrap it up. I don't know if our nuclear bombs would be able to handle that. They're probably like cockroaches, you know what I'm saying? They just it's like, oh, we shrugging that off and then RIP to the world. So
even in the acid blood.
Yes. Yeah, the acid blood, the super durable exoskeleton, and then just the lethality of it in general. So yeah, it should, like, the best case scenario is for it to not take place on Earth. In fact, this does kind of end up like creating so many like plot holes in regards to at least the Alien franchise have, because like, how do these humans not know what a xenomorph is if everything took place on Earth and they were based out of Earth, so it should have been cataloged.
It's also interesting because a lot of those the Alien franchise movies take place in such a far like future timeline where it's like everything's so advanced and technological. So for the aliens to then be there on Earth in that aspect, it's pretty interesting to think about. So with that, with the casting decisions, I don't remember one human in this movie other than the dad and the kid getting his chest burst at the beginning, and then also when the mom got snatched up.
Oh yeah.
But actually,
nobody else was memorable.
There was no memorable characters, which is, I think it's going to be interesting when we get to the Reconstruction and just like the framing of the new story with that. With marketing, I mean, I feel like it's simple, just like to have fun with it. I feel like, again, this could be a deconstruction, Reconstruction part where it's like, I think around the same time we had Jason versus Freddy and it was somewhere in that time frame. And then also just like the other Versus series. So
yeah, so when it comes to that, right, Alien versus Predator, at least the first movie, right, that came out, I believe,
in 2004?
It was like 2003 and 2004 or something like that. And Freddy versus Jason Oh yeah, Alien vs Predator. The first movie was in '04. Freddy vs Jason was '03.
So yeah, again, this was like the versus era of a lot of things where we saw our first crossovers. But something that I think would be interesting just with the timing of the movie was like maybe like this one doesn't necessarily have to be a direct sequel to it. Oh, we saw again. This could be more of the Reconstruction part. We saw like both Alien Romulus and then Prey. The movies prior to them were so bad, especially the Predator, in my opinion. I didn't see Covenant. Were so bad that they were like, "Hey, let's just do a prequel and start this over." And both of them got back to the essence of like what those franchises were. So with the timing of the movie, I know like the way the first AVP got set up with that, they probably felt like they needed to do a direct continuation, especially with the whole Red Alien thing.
Which is crazy considering that the first Alien vs Predator movie had like a bad critical reception as well. And I believe also a bad audience reception too. But
it's not super high, which is kind of surprising. But at the same time, I think it has some of the issues of, man, how do we balance this? Because the two franchises aren't the same at all. And I think it's easy to think that.
Yeah, it's not like Freddy versus Jason where you just have two serial killers.
Yeah.
With just two different gimmicks, and now they're just facing each other while having the humans, or should I say the victims, be in the middle of it. This is like, okay, you have two alien species, right?
Yes.
But they both have wildly different ways of going about things to the point where you're not even sure how in the world they supposed to coexist. So how in the world we gonna fight them?
Exactly.
And the victims, again, in the middle, they're just like, dang, I'm screwed if I do, and I'm screwed if I don't.
I think there's a way to do it. Obviously, there's the comic with it. There's a way to do it, but like in a medium, you have to kind of go along the Godzilla Kong route. And then with that, even when it was Godzilla versus Kong, the other version of that was Godzilla Kong, the new Empire, which definitely took that and like kind of embraced like, oh, this is a team up. So I'll save my comments for that when we get to the Reconstruction, because I did have a question regarding that. But just other obvious flaws, I don't know what the plot of that movie was other than to stop the Pred Alien.
The main plot was Predalien going on a tear. Predators are trying to kill it. The humans are just trying to live. And then the xenomorphs just be xenomorphing. I don't know what to tell you.
So I think that basically covers, because I think we just have to start over with a new movie, to be honest with you.
Mm-hmm. So let's go ahead and begin the true Reconstruction.
All right. So before we get into the Reconstruction, I'm going to hit you with a quick sponsor break.
All right. So the sponsor for today is the Watani Corporation. If you want to go and join a spacefaring group to see the vastness of space, to be able to discover worlds that have never been seen, come join Watani today. However, we are not responsible for any alien species that come in and try to murk you. We are not responsible for any aliens, any predators, or anything of the like that comes in and tries to kill you. You have been warned.
Okay, so I think the first question I have, which basically is going to frame all of this, is this a direct continuation from the first Alien vs. Predator movie?
Okay, so I know that, it's not a high reception, that the first movie was meh. But I think the idea of a Predalien works so well that people are probably going to like want to see that. So it could be, or we could make it a case of like this not being a direct continuation. It could take like place like long after, or
like after, it could be long before.
Yeah. So I say like not make it a direct continuation, but instead like again make it more of a make it somewhat standalone
Okay.
in nature.
Which I feel like all the Predator movies, well, most of the Predator movies are basically can stand alone amongst themselves, whereas the Alien movies are kind of all tied together, which is what we were talking about, where it's two different franchises.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can watch literally any of the Predator movies and you're serviceable.
It'll be like a brief mention, maybe, for some of them, but yeah, other than that, you can just watch it. So with that, I think this is where it definitely is kind of what we're talking about. So making a movie versus like comics and other things, we have to know our audience. At the same time with horror, I think horror is one of the most sacred genres of like movies. I think it might be the most one because even with superheroes, you can't copy it one for one, and people mostly understand that. Like Civil War isn't the comic version of Civil War, but it's one of the most beloved movies. Endgame, Infinity War, same situation. With horror, if you mess up the genre of the character, and you can speak more to this, people get really pissed about it.
Ooh, let me go ahead and tell you something. All right, there have been numerous times when they try to take a certain character and take him completely out of their element, and it's just a complete dumpster fire. Case in point, Leprechaun going into space. Yeah, who thought that was a good? Oh no, the Hood. That was a fun time. I'm not gonna lie, buddy. That was a fun time, but that movie was directed for us. For space, for him going to space. I don't know who that was for.
Wait, is that the one where you turned into like a giant? Oh, like
yes. I don't know who that one was for, but people was pissed. Hellraiser, he also went to space. I don't know who that one was for. Hey, Jason X. All right.
I love Jason X. I
love Jason X too. I love him too, but he did not need to go to space. I'm not gonna lie to you. Like that. That was also during the period where Friday the 13th franchise, that was in a downward spiral. All right.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's the same. That was Kane Hodder's last hoorah, but yeah, like taking folks into space is a terrible time. Let's see, what are the times when stuff like completely changed genres? Oh, that's right. Seed of Chucky. Of Chucky is a dumpster fire. Like Bride of Chucky was good because it balanced it. Like it took like the horror that it was and made it a little more self-aware. Vince just decided to say, screw the horror angle, let's go full self-aware. Freddy Krueger went from sadistic to a clown. Yeah, the later entries. I wasn't scared of Freddy no more.
Halloween, the witches, that one.
Season of the Witch. Oh, Halloween 3. This is what happens when you try to say, oh yeah, nah, we gonna take this property. We're gonna say, you know what? Let's make it an anthology. Let's see how that worked out. Fourth movie, we bring it back, Michael Myers. We so sorry, audience. We made a mistake. In fact, just to do y'all right, we're gonna title this one "The Return of Michael Myers" because we messed up severely. My bad.
Yes,
put the fries in the bag, bro.
So, like with that, like I mentioned, Godzilla Kong. Not really Kong because I don't know like how. I feel like every Kong movie is always like before like the Monsterverse was like a reboot of the original in a sense, at least the bigger ones. Whereas with Godzilla, there were so many different eras that we broke down before when we did the lead up to that movie. So like Godzilla has been horror, whereas like the first one, a few of the other mix-ins with the monster battles, and then also when we have -1. But then we've also gotten the silly Godzilla, where it's like, oh, he does the infamous drop kick, which is absolutely hilarious. It's thing. So with that, like when it got to Godzilla Kong, you saw how it was like so serious, and it was like, oh, this is the first time they fought in like 70, 60 plus years, and you're like, oh man, I'm so excited for it. Yes, and then the second one, they're doing suplexes and doing slow motion, which I was bouncing off the walls about. So it's like, but like with those characters, you have the ability to kind of flip back and forth, and they've done such a good job of giving Kong a personality other than like, let's take the blonde woman to the New York State Empire building, so like that. So with that, Predator, when it works the best, like the first one, the second one, and then Prey, it's usually movies where it's like, okay, one person is like thrown into the situation with a lot of warriors, or like, I know the second one was cops, but we'll count them as warriors. And all of a sudden they have to go to battle with an alien. I mean, with a predator. And then like the Predator lost its way completely. I thought that, like, again, once you lose your way, it's like Predators was okay, in my opinion, but the Predator was like too silly to me. So, but with Alien, you can speak to it more because I only seen like 3 Alien movies, but like Alien 3, I heard is very controversial. You know, the Resurrection one, then Prometheus.
Don't talk about that one. We don't talk about that one.
So, but you can speak to that where that's more of just like, oh, we're going on the hunt now. You have to survive. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think like so when it comes to the Alien franchise, the best way they kind of work is the fact that, all right, these xenomorphs, well, firstly, everything took place in space. That was where their best wheelhouse was. They were in space. They were stuck on a spaceship or like just a carrier vessel, and they have to deal with this, with 1 to potentially like 5 xenomorphs that are all just running ragged, like an infection.
Mm-hmm.
Now again, when they started like delving into like, oh yeah, we're gonna have ourselves some dog aliens, some bird aliens, and then now you're starting to lose us. Now you're starting to lose it a bit there. You're giving way too many variations to this alien. Like we just need our tried and true. We just need our bread and butter.
How did you feel about the Romulus, the one at the end?
That thing was an utter nightmare.
That thing was horrible to look at.
That thing was an utter nightmare, and I'm with it. As long as it well, first, like, it develops that sense of fear and dread in you, and it's like, it makes you wonder, like, what are you going to do about that? So, yeah, so as long as at least for the aliens, like, they just make it so, like, the xenomorphs are unstoppable and not, like, some engineered being, because if you can engineer it, you can potentially kill it.
That's a good point. All right, so with that, I feel like in framing it, we have to make essentially the predators the good guys, because xenomorphs are just brainless, like you mentioned, infections that want to destroy everything. Do we want like space, like, do we want to keep it on space, put it on a different planet, spaceship, to like kind of keep it similar, carrier, cruiser type thing? Like, how do we want to handle this?
All right.
For setting before we get into anything else.
Oh, yeah. So for me, right, actually, I say like a good way of setting this is like, you can have it kind of be on the Predator homeworld. You can like set it on the Predator homeworld. That way you have your supply of predators. And I also got to preface this by saying, like, when we say predators, you know what we mean. Not no Diddy.
Yeah.
But yeah, so when it comes to the alien side of things, all you need is either a queen or like 1 egg.
Yeah, some facehuggers.
You usually need 1 egg with a facehugger, and that's all you need to go wrong.
Now that you mentioned that, the facehugger scene in Romulus is one of the scariest scenes of that entire movie, like, compared to everything else.
Oh, not the scene of bro seeing that xenomorph in the background just post up waiting.
Open the door.
It's like, I dare you. Like, nah, I'm with you.
So here's the trouble with these types of like horror, like we do. The moment you start letting monsters talk or communicate that don't typically talk or communicate, it makes them less scary. If it's on the Predator homeworld, see, this is what I kind of hate with the Transformers movies and some Godzilla Kong movies, is that you know, they put the humans on there. Well, Transformers, they don't have to do this, but with the Godzilla Kong, they put humans in there because they don't want, Godzilla talking, in a sense. So it's kind of like, if we put it on the Predator homeworld, we could have them, doing their Predator language. But then at the same time, I feel like we take away from them being scary, and now we're watching something that can single-handedly take out a militia group to now, all these militia group type things. I know the xenomorphs are dangerous, but now they're getting hunted by the xenomorphs and like almost getting wiped out. That's my only thing. I know, like, it's a balancing act, man. Like you mentioned, like when it's two serial killers, you can just be like, oh, let's go at it. But with horror, it's like you have to make both as scary as possible.
All right, and so here's my compromise with that. We can start off with some humans, all right? And they're like in space.
Yeah.
Well, actually, you don't even need to be humans. They can just be the victims. They're the sheep, all right? So they're in space, and they end up, like, whether they're like, or, dang, hold on, let me cut. What if, like, the people / Marines, like, the people, right? Mm-hmm. The humans, the victims, they're undergoing / going through an alien movie crisis. Essentially, they're going through their Romulus, they're going with their OG, they're going with their Alien 2 nonsense. Okay. And then they crash land on the Predator world.
Okay.
And of course, we're going to need like a slightly largish cast of people because, and here's the reason why. Like, you start off with like these group of humans, and then you get through the alien nonsense, and then that bumps them down like maybe 2-3 people. And then once they crash land, they maybe like you get one more casualty just from the crash. All right, because you kind of need bodies. And then the rest of the people, they arrive again. They're armed like military folk. They get there. They get out there, and they're on the Predator world. And of course, now you're in a Predator film.
Yes,
with the soldiers like they're thinking like, okay, we just escaped this xenomorph catastrophe. Oh Lord, now we gotta deal with this Predator catastrophe. Come on, man. Mm-hmm. And just have them keep getting whittled down as going through it. But at the same time, now you got the xenomorph survivors. Now they're running rugged and roughshod and just attacking.
Mm-hmm. I like that. So what's that? Because I feel like always with Predator movies, it's like a hunt. And I feel like if they crash land on the planet, they about to just get wiped out. But I do like that from that perspective. That balancing act is probably going to be the hardest part of the movie. But definitely, if we want to do Alien, one of the we could have like a section where the Space Marine survivors split up, crash land, how that goes. It is like, okay, one group gets destroyed by one Predator. And then it's like, oh, what is this? Boom, we get Facehugger randomly after it takes out a few xenomorphs. It's like it recognizes this, boom, then it gets hit with a Facehugger. It kind of goes on, and then boom, we get like just like the bursting initially on in that scene, and then that way we can have this looming threat that got created in the first or second act of the movie is kind of just like, so that's going to tie into the third act.
Yep, and now you got this Pred alien that's now hunting predators, but then also maybe it can slowly start like hunting down xenomorphs too.
Mm-hmm.
You think it'll go for that, or?
So something that I saw with like how like it was like an article that I was reading where it didn't really like the Pred alien is that it leaned, again, you're balancing franchises, it leaned more into the xenomorph mindless type creature rather than like with the Predators, it's more of a
intelligent.
Yes. But I feel like since, it's a xenomorph taking over anything, like every time we see a xenomorph take over any organism, it just becomes like the mind,
Yeah.
So I feel like it would do that. Do you think potentially, I don't know how queens are created, so like maybe in a sense it could not be a queen, but kind of like organize the xenomorphs in a sense, kind of like the Indominus Rex from Jurassic World.
So you think it may be kind of like a potential alpha predator?
Yeah, that's the word.
Yeah, potential alpha to kind of either galvanize the xenomorphs or consume them. Because
I think we could walk on in like a scene where it's like the one predator is taking out xenomorphs, and maybe like 2-3 predators are like washing the xenomorphs, even with the numbers. But then we see the pred alien come and just like take all of them out, and then like the xenomorphs are like, doing their thing, and it roars, communicates however it communicates, and you see them kind of like bowing down in a sense, or like organizing themselves.
So you're thinking kind of like Baru.
Yes, in a sense like that.
Okay, I'm liking that. Pred alien kind of spearheading / being the alpha / lead of the xenomorphs, and then seeing all that happening, it's causing the humans to realize maybe these predators are not either. Man, okay, I can't. Like, we're still kind of semi-rooting for the predators in this movie, but I don't know necessarily if we want the humans to fully ally themselves with the predator or just be their own separate faction.
I think it has to be their own separate to start, and then it gets knocked down to like 1 or 2 humans, 1 to 2, 2 to 3, and then it's like one of the humans saves a predator. I know in the comics, like, it wasn't like the predators got really mad that it got saved by a human with that. But I think we can have it where it's like, one of those humans gets split from the group. I think we're going to have to do it where one single human gets split from the group, and a predator sees it handle a xenomorph, and then it takes it with its people. And then so their goal is to kind of like try to reunite with their other people who are also getting hunted by both the xenomorphs and the predators.
Yeah, that could work. That could work too. Also, have a case where like one human literally becomes a member of the predator hunting tribe. Like we could get them to be acknowledge me.
We could definitely have that by like, okay, by the end of it, all the rest of the humans are wiped out, and it's just like, yo, I can't get back. This is what it is. But see, the thing is, like, since we're on their planet, we can have it showing like, hey, the predators clearly have a society. Like, we see that in almost every movie where it's like whether they get collected, dropped off. We see that the predators have a society that they kind of recognize. They're not just mindless idiots. So like different geography. I'm just afraid, since we're on their planet, is that there's 2 things that make me afraid. Is that one, we quote unquote humanize them too much. And then the other one is that, like you mentioned, the xenomorphs now, since they're not technically quote unquote in space, we're going to have to limit their numbers to an extent because we can't just have them overrunning predators.
I think that's the reason why like the predators are there in the first place, because they're probably like the only species with the technology capable of whittling them down.
That's fair. And then we
know to the humans.
And we do know predators love their go-to when they're losing.
Die, you mother.
Explosion. So with that, we can frame it as that. So we have one get separated from the party, team up with the predators, and then like, how much are we whittling down the others? Is it going to be complete annihilation, or is it going to be like some hope?
Some hope, and then completely rip it away from us. Whip it away from them.
So it can be like, in a sense where, okay, so we have the one person that's working with, let's say, a single predator for most of them.
Yeah, make it one.
Yes. It's kind of similar to the first AVP to an extent. So they're working with that single predator, and then on the opposite side, we just kind of see the Space Marines mostly getting taken out by one or the other. So, but like with that, it can be like, we're not going to force a romance in this, but like one person really wants to get to like, like how it's like, oh, I'm split up from my love. Let me get back to him or her, and then stuff like that. We're not going to force that, but it could be like someone where it's a simple, because like even in Romulus, they just did the brother sister, even though he was a cyborg with that, but something similar to that, and trying to really get back to the group with that. It's kind of like a meeting of the mind. So we see the 3 parties going together. So we see the xenomorphs. You see, 4 parties technically: xenomorphs, humans, the main predator party, and then like the one human, one predator party, and all like convenes together.
Okay, we could do that. Also, potential. What's your thoughts on like, okay, we have a human semi being on the predator side. what if we have some human be on the xenomorph side, kind of like in the sense of, like how Ash the android was in the first Alien movie,
Yeah.
or something like that, to give the human somebody to combat.
It's interesting because it's like obviously the humans can't work with the communicate, quote unquote, with the xenomorphs. I think it would be in a sense where maybe it could be like, oh, the humans saw, one of the Space Marines saw the predators take out their people, and they're like, oh, we can't stop them. They're so much more technologically advanced. We know what can stop them, and they lead the xenomorphs to trap them in a sense.
Well, I wouldn't say lead the xenomorph. That's what the issue Alien is for.
Lure them?
Yeah, maybe I'd say sabotage the main group, or or do something to lure them there, maybe a EMP grenade or something like that, to or audio cue to like a zombie apocalypse idea.
I think that's tough. Just working with the xenomorphs.
Yeah, if not, we can cut that out. Let's go.
I gotta veto that. We never do vetoes. So with that, and then I think, what do you think the main battle is? I don't, because at that point, who are we rooting for? We're stuck between the evil predator, the humans, and then the xenomorphs led by the pred alien, and we're mostly rooting for the single predator and the single human that kind of get there.
Yeah, pretty much them. They're the only leads we got. Everybody else is expendable. Everybody else can go in a bloodbath.
So I think it could definitely just be the humans are pinned down in a sense, and it's okay, the predators, well, the xenomorphs could be chasing them the entire movie. Predators also are hunting them, so it's it convenes together, and we just get, you mentioned, a bloodbath with that, and then ultimately most of that human group gets wiped out. I would say that the predators win, and then the pred alien comes and takes out kind of their main force, and then that's when we see our one human, one predator come in and kind of turn the tide of the battle.
Yeah, maybe they're slowly starting to coordinate and have each other's back a little slowly. Yeah.
So we see them team up, which would be dope, just combo attacks and stuff like that.
Yeah. The team finisher.
So I think with that, we get the Alien movie, we get the Predator movie, and then with that, we give the people what they want with the overall, we want to see aliens versus predators. Let's get to it. So I think that's good. Anything again, these movies are something that are high intellect that we need to get into, I think. But anything else we kind of just want to add to it for that?
Explosions. Lots and lots of explosions.
The director is Michael Bay.
Yes. Boom.
So with
blow everything up.
So with that, I think we're going to adopt the two tones of those movies. But when we do the other parts, what kind of tone do you think we're rocking with?
Okay, so I'd say kind of have it similar to how Kong Godzilla did it, to where, all right, you got these two that's like horror, and then it comes a different type of horror, and now this one kind of leans a little bit more towards horror action-ish, because it's just gonna be straight bloodbath. So much blood it's gonna be in this movie. It's gonna be crazy. But yeah, just
wait. Was the first Alien versus Predator R?
It
might have been PG-13.
Actually, hold on. Let me see. It was PG-13.
Beat that one that. Yeah, you want to use your lock-in on the rating?
Rated R. Lock in.
Ain't no way they made that a PG-13 movie.
Hold on. I need to see. Oh yeah, Requiem was the rated R one. What the heck? What the heck?
But we can't see it.
We can't see anything rated R about this movie, man.
That's crazy.
Yeesh.
Yeah, that's actually pretty diabolical. We got to keep that a rated R movie. All right, so with that, I think we can get into our summary.
All right, let's go ahead and let's go ahead. When we start this movie, you have a crew of space marines who are going through their regular drills when suddenly they're on their ship, maybe acquired from the Wayland with Yutani Corporation, or just something they got from their travels, a xenomorph egg that, or even just stowed away on the ship. Xenomorph egg pops up, it face hugs somebody, and then we start that whole alien movie that happens on the ship in a much faster pace. They run roughshod on the entire ship, people dying left and right, and from there it crash lands onto the planet of the predators. From there, the survivors, they get split up, and one group of survivors get absolutely demolished because now that becomes a Predator movie. And then also you have, like, because people are getting demolished by the Predators, the Xenomorphs are coming and attacking that Predator group. One lone Predator gets face hugged, and the Pred Alien is born. From there, we also have the other group where they're also getting taken out by Xenomorphs and Predators alike. But there's one lone survivor who manages to rescue a certain Predator, which causes them to develop a ritualistic bond, similar to that of Han Solo and Chewbacca, to where they come to an understanding and they got each other's backs. So that way, and the main purpose of that is because she's trying to reunite with her potential lover or anything like that on the other team who are getting decimated. So as things are going about, you have the Pred Alien who's looming about, who's kind of gathering the Xenomorphs, taking out Predators left and right. Predators are looking all types of down horrendous because they're able to take out Xenomorphs left and right like normal in comparison to the humans who are getting murdered left and right. But as soon as the Pred Alien sets foot, then it becomes a different type of horror movie where the Predators are the victims, which is a crazy reversal. So at the end in the final battle, you have perhaps the woman, she reunites with her love temporarily before he gets utterly killed, and the Predator and her team up, completely wipes out like some of the forces in the final battle between the Pred Alien, the Alpha Pred Alien, and the Xenomorphs versus the rest of the Predator group. Again, Broken Predator and her, they team up, they collaborate, team special manages to kill the Pred Alien, and she's officially now a member of the tribe.
Perfect. I think the only thing to really be careful with this movie would be the pacing, considering the fact it's 3 movies within 1 movie, and just balancing that.
Yeah, that's why it's at least 2 hours long.
Yes, absolutely. So that's that. Like we said again with the deconstruction, reconstruction, we take movies apart, movies, TV shows, comics, games of that try to rebuild it, give it something special. If you have ideas with that, definitely leave it in the comments, or just give your own kind of take on this movie. If you did like parts of it, parts that you would change, and the of that. So with that, we're going to get into our what's hot. So this is what's hot in movies, TV shows, anime, comics, gaming. One thing that I want to say, Meech, I almost folded last week with the Penguin episode. I tried.
Sure.
I had to fight hard.
Sure.
Dude, do you know how many people were simping last week?
Too many.
It was lady the mascara level of down bad.
Well, trust me, when I was looking at social media, I'm like, I've seen posts I can fix her, and I was like, you know what? I wouldn't want to fix her. We just gonna paint this town. I'd kill for her. You know what?
How many comments did you see about yellow dresses?
Too many. Sundress season, y'all. And I'm just here like, dang, see, this lets you know I've grown because I'm like, bruh, this is just, come on, guys, we gotta do better.
Yo, this in Don to Don almost made me full, but I'm good. Okay.
Oh Lord, do not even get me started.
It's at least what you got.
All right, let's go ahead and get our mind out of the gutter, you absolute just madman. All right, so getting started, we have Bleach 1,000 Year Blood War. I'm pretty sure there's gonna be a whole lot of blood in this war. I'm just saying. We got Blue Lock, which we do need to talk about. So how you liking that animation?
Well, I haven't seen the third episode yet, but I've heard it gets really better with that. So I kind of don't notice it too much, to be honest with you. Only when people say it. So I'm kind of just like, I only notice it when people are like, oh, the animation. So I don't really mind it too much, to be honest with you.
All right, cool. Yeah,
you feel like you sound like you have fun.
Oh no, I just wanted to see like what your thoughts were because I mean honestly, like you said, like I didn't really notice it. And in case people are wondering, it's because of the fact people are criticizing the episodes because of the fact that it looks like it's not really animation. It's more like still images with just effects plastered on there.
There are some moments where I see that, but I don't need it to. I don't need every anime to be Jujutsu Kaisen because I'm rewatching Attack on Titan with someone, and I'm like seeing the first season's animations, and then like knowing how it looks later on. I'm like, I'll rock with it. You know, it's okay.
Yeah. So yeah, and that's just pretty much it about that. Dragon Ball Daima, RIP to the GOAT, Kira Toriyama. We miss you every day. It is still legendary. The lore. It's going crazy right now. Sorry, I got emotional for a second. Oh yeah, so again, the Penguin is still goated. You Simps need to get it together. And then after that, we have in video gaming, Silent Hill 2, the remake is out. I haven't had a chance to play it because I'm still in the midst of my GOAT, Dragon Ball Sparking Zero, aka Game of the Year, aka Box Me, because I am becoming a counter god. All right. Slowly but surely, you will not be able to touch me.
So every character you have is Whis, essentially?
Yes. No. It's not that every character is Whis. I am Whis. You give me anybody and I'll turn them into a legend.
Do people use him a lot online?
I feel like, all right, so I actually saw a list of the top characters in ranked, and you'll never guess who number one was.
Is it Yajirobe?
No, actually, he was a lot higher than I thought he would, but it kind of makes sense.
The person I want to say is either Broly or
Broly's like it's like 3 or 4. It is Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta.
Yeah.
Yes. So he's in there. I think Whis is like slightly like he's like top 10 in terms of rank.
As much as people hate on GT, Super Saiyan 4 and then also Gogeta is one of the best things to ever come out of Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah. Welcome to the Grand Tour, y'all. Welcome to the Grand Tour. But again, my GOAT Rose is always don't. I pray for the day I go online and I face somebody playing as baby Vegeta. It's like, oh, you think you about to take over the world as Stuffles? Nah, you about to experience some Zero Mortal plans. Step into the Grand Tour of this divine justice.
Nice.
But yes, moving on before I get back into my wheelhouse grind, right? Don, right? One Piece is about to go on hiatus till April. And then also Invincible's coming back, y'all. There's no mid-season break. February, get ready. Get your blue and black ready because things is about to get devious out here.
Oh, I already warned one of my friends about Vanessa. I know it's not going to be this season, but I just warned them in advance. Don't get too attached. Oh boy, you know the comments when that scene happens are going to be egregious.
I'm gonna be like, come on, guys.
Do better.
It's like, come on, guys. I thought we was better than this.
It's about to be so bad. But yeah, anything else?
Also, just in the realm of comic books, Absolute Batman, Absolute Unit. Miles Morales is still a vampire. Venom War is still going on, and yeah, that's all I got. Oh yeah, and Ultimate Marvel Legendary. Go.
So the only thing I have is just that Venom: The Last Dance is coming out this Friday as you're hearing this. So that's what we're going to do a movie review of next week. Something that we're super excited for, getting into our Venom bag one more time with Tom Hardy. So with that, I think that's basically it. So let's get our plugs and get up out of here. So all right, watch the Penguin.
All right, and let's hopefully you do not you need to get together, otherwise I'm making a phone call. So for our Instagram and our X, formerly known as Twitter, and our threads, we're under Blurred City 22. Like, comment, subscribe, stay up to date and for all updates and our release schedules. We also have our Instagram our Discord linked in the Instagram page to join a fine community of pure degeneracy and memes. We also have our YouTube and our Patreon under Blurred City Pod. If you want to donate some extra cheddar, and you'll get yourself access to very exclusive content on the Patreon. Additionally, we have ourselves our email address, blurredcity22@gmail.com, where you can submit questions for Q&As, episode suggestions, and all of the like. We also can accept criticism, but if it's just hate mail, then it'll be sent to the spam decks, never to see the light of day ever again. Finally, we have ourselves our Blurred City merch that is linked in our Instagram page, or go to blurredcityapparel.com. If you want to cop some merch, hey, you can go ahead and get yourself some merch. Just know it ain't gonna last forever because we got until the end of the month. So get your merch now before you lose it. And finally, I am the Jedi born on Mustafar on Instagram and TikTok, however long you got TikTok. What you got?
For my individual author pages, we have my Instagram, Metri_Das. That is METRI_DASH. For my X/Twitter, that is at the Mad-16. And if you're interested in my book, Phantom Reckoning, that is available on Amazon and Kindle. So as we always we will leave you with some words of encouragement.
If you see a predator walking the street, and we're not talking about we're not talking about that type of predator, we're talking about the alien predator. All right. If you see one of them running on the street, just be harmless. Just get out of the way. Just as we like in the community like to say, stay in your lane and mind your business. It turns out it works pretty well when it comes to longevity. Just mind your business, stay in your lane, keep it moving, and you know what to do.
My only words of advice are stop the simping and buy yellow dresses for people that you care about.
Better, man.
Better. All right. It's not goodbye forever. It's just goodbye for now. And that's the Blurred City Podcast.
See y'all later.